The years following the establishment of the Weimar Republic were marked by widespread unrest and discontent across Germany. The country was deeply divided, and the new democratic government faced challenges from both the left and the right, each of which sought to overthrow or significantly alter the existing political system. On the left, many were inspired by the Russian Revolution of 1917 and believed that Germany should follow a similar path toward a socialist state. The Spartacists, a radical socialist group led by Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, were particularly vocal in their demands for a workers' revolution. In January 1919, they attempted to seize power in what became known as the Spartacist Uprising. However, the uprising was brutally suppressed by the Freikorps, right-wing paramilitary units composed mainly of World War I veterans. Luxemburg and Liebknecht were killed, and the left's hopes for a socialist revolution were dashed. But the lingering dissatisfaction among workers and leftist groups remained a constant source of tension within the Republic. On the right, the Weimar government faced equally serious threats. Many conservatives, nationalists, and former military officers resented the new republic, blaming it for Germany's defeat in World War I and the humiliating terms of the Treaty of Versailles. They longed for the restoration of the monarchy or the establishment of a strong authoritarian government. In 1920, the right-wing Kapp Putsch, led by Wolfgang Kapp and supported by parts of the military and the Freikorps, attempted to overthrow the Weimar government. For a few days, the rebels managed to seize control of Berlin, but the putsch ultimately failed due to a general strike called by the trade unions, which paralyzed the country and forced the coup leaders to flee. As Germany struggled with political instability, it was also burdened by the harsh economic conditions imposed by the Treaty of Versailles. The treaty had required Germany to pay enormous reparations to the Allied powers as compensation for the war, a demand that placed immense strain on the already weakened German economy. By 1923, Germany could no longer meet its reparations payments, leading to a crisis that would have severe consequences for the entire nation. In response to Germany's failure to pay, French and Belgian troops occupied the Ruhr, Germany's most important industrial region, in January 1923. The occupation was intended to force Germany to comply with its reparations obligations by seizing control of coal mines, factories, and railways. The Weimar government, unable to resist militarily, called for a policy of passive resistance, encouraging workers in the Ruhr to strike and refuse to cooperate with the occupying forces. While this tactic slowed down production in the region, it also further crippled the German economy. To support the striking workers and maintain the government's functions, the Weimar government began printing vast amounts of money. This policy led to hyperinflation, as the value of the German mark plummeted. Prices soared out of control, and the currency rapidly lost its purchasing power. The effects of hyperinflation were devastating for the German population. People's life savings were wiped out, as the money they had saved became worthless almost overnight. The middle class, in particular, saw their wealth evaporate, leading to widespread poverty and despair. Daily life became increasingly chaotic as the currency crisis deepened. Workers were paid several times a day, and people rushed to spend their wages before prices increased again. Bartering became common, and basic necessities like food and fuel were often exchanged rather than bought with money. The situation was especially dire for those on fixed incomes, such as pensioners, who found themselves unable to afford even the most basic goods. The social fabric of the nation began to unravel as people lost faith in the government and the economy. The hyperinflation crisis of 1923 brought Germany to the brink of collapse. It exacerbated the already deep divisions within German society and fueled the anger and resentment that many felt toward the Weimar Republic. The crisis was eventually brought under control by the introduction of a new currency, the Rentenmark, and the implementation of the Dawes Plan, which restructured Germany's reparations payments. However, the damage had been done. The years of unrest, the political extremism on both sides, and the economic devastation left a deep scar on the Weimar Republic, undermining its legitimacy and paving the way for more radical solutions to Germany's problems in the years to come.